She was a chilly one last night. Was actually at the threshold of comfort for my summer sleep system. I'll have to check what the temperature got to, but I would say maybe high 50s or maybe low 60s, but I think high 50s. You may notice I had to batten down the hatches, bring the tarp down a lot closer to the hammock than I'd had before, which was designed to allow air to pass through. Last night I had to tighten it up so the air wouldn't pass through. Anyway, still liking the hammock, but that's the setup. That's how we started the morning. Now it's time to come out and get some breakfast. Okay, good morning, guys. Here we are, Delaware water gap, 20.2 miles. That's what we're en route to this morning. Shouldn't be too bad. We'll see how the legs warm up and all that sort of thing, but quite chilly last night, as I already mentioned in my first video. Yeah, see, literally yesterday, I had sent home my 20-degree Enlightened equipment quilt because I've just been sweltering using it. And I had purchased one of the Sea to Summit, like Cool Max type bag liners, because it's made of, you know, a micro fleece or some sort of material that wouldn't cling to me as I'm sweaty and it's humid and bug spray and all the stuff that we have on us all the time out here. Let's see. So today, 20.2 Delaware Gap. A bunch of the guys, meaning shortcuts. Let's see, not Webster, because he's going to New York City. But Chris, probably Mongrel, probably Turmoil, heading to, what is the Poconos Motel in Delaware Water Gap, which is, I think, a mile from the border. So I could use a dinner resupply. They didn't have any of the dehydrated meals in Palmerton, so I didn't get anything like that. So I could use some dinner meals and do that. But the big thing is really just keep moving. I'll show you this. I'll tell you one thing about last night. The moon was as bright, even though it's a half moon, it was as bright as I recall ever seeing it. I wonder if it's closer to the earth. It's one of those times. Anyway, it was intensely bright. I was like, who turned the light on out here when I woke up at like 2 something? So, but yeah, I'll get that meal, have a meal, and then I'm just telling you, we got to get New Jersey done, into New York, and pound out New England. So I'm going to be looking to set my sights on 20-mile days again, as many as every day as I can. This pulling up short, even to be with the other crew. I did that last night because I hadn't seen the guys, you know, in a while. I'd gotten ahead of everybody. So, you know, I wanted to catch up, and so I took I think it was a 15.5, as the guys would attest. I was unhappy with myself the whole evening for having done that, but it is what it is. Beautiful overlook here this morning. That strip there, I am wondering whether it is part of the pipeline. You see those all over, of course, for the power lines, but this one, I believe, might be for the pipeline. So I can say with confidence that this is sort of the most obnoxious piece of trail. We came out of Wind Gap, and I don't know if we've gone over that wolf's tooth thing or whatever the hell that is, or whether that's yet to come, but the rocks have just been like the exactly horrible size. See, you can see they're bigger than they normally are, with these protruding corners and slope sides, which just want to catch your foot between two rocks, slam your foot down. If you don't step right on the peak, well, you step on the peak and you can actually feel your foot getting bruised from the repeated boom, boom, boom. I mean, I have a rock plate in my shoe, but you know, a rock plate ain't designed for this. So I can honestly say the PA rocks have not been an issue for me up to about the last 45 minutes to an hour. This is a lot better right here. That's why I brought you up. So I'm interested, not in a positive way, to see that if that wasn't the wolf's mouth or whatever it is, tooth or whatever name they give it, back there where it's supposed to be a bunch of pointy rocks, what is, because that back there definitely was hard on the feet. Yes, the ankles, because they're rolling all over the place, and the knees, but really the feet, with that having to step on those edges of those rocks, because if you miss them, you miss the point, then it slides down between the two and slams your ankle against the rock next to it. No, I don't believe Pennsylvania's taking you out of their way. I think the glaciers so screwed this state up that this is what it is up in the mountains here. Anyway, you can see I got my panties in a bunch right now. I guess on the last day of Pennsylvania, you have earned the right to have a case of the ass. So it's just one more state down, one more state I pissed in and then walked away from. So see ya. Oh my God. This, ladies and gentlemen, without question, is the worst piece of ground I have ever been on in any location in my life. It is unbelievable. I mean, it looks like the glacier just took every rock from Canada down to here and dumped it right here. Oh my God, it is mind-numbing. I'm not kidding you. The rest of Pennsylvania was a breeze. But this day, between Wind Gap and Water Gap, and even before Wind Gap, for a little ways, but since Wind Gap, has been utterly mind-numbing. Now, of course, you're going to look here and say, oh, there's nothing there. Yeah, don't even think about it. Like any other picture, I can manipulate what I want you to see. Believe me, that is something that you will do once in your life and never want to do again. And I can promise you, as long as I live on this earth, I will never come back to this area. That I can promise you and assure you. I'll do it once. It's certainly survivable, but there is no pleasure in it. It is ultimately just miserable. My feet, the bottom of my feet have got to be bruised nearly beyond recognition. And then the toes, I guess the worst part is the way these damn things sit up with a flat front and just catch the tip of your toes as you try to walk, one after another, after another, after another. And you're like, pick your feet up, you pick your feet up, and the next one's 4 inches high instead of 2.5. And you slam your toes. I actually think I've split my big toe on my left foot, the toenail. I think I've actually split it in half, and possibly part of the toe. I can actually feel it. And my toenails I just clipped like when I was in Palmerton. And these are brand new shoes, so I've got a good rubber stop on the front of them. But they just are getting slammed against those rocks, straight on to your toe. And of course, it compresses down until it hits the nail. Whew. That was seriously friggin' miserable. And I want you all to appreciate it, because that is part of the trail. And when you come up through here, and people are yakking about Pennsylvania and Rocksylvania, for a lot of it, yeah, there are rocks. And yeah, Pennsylvania is definitely Rocksylvania. It's got like this here all the way through it, no doubt. But it's not that. It's these, it's not the big boulders, and it's not these little ones. It's those medium size that come, and it looks like they're coming again, that they're just impossible to walk on top of. You can't hop from one to the other. They're impossible to walk between. They'll slam your ankles from one to the next. They jut up. They all have these pointy little tips on them. Must be from the glaciers or something. Oh man, let me tell you, this day will make a friggin' man of you. Wolf Rocks Bypass. I have no idea what that means. Does it mean that we're coming up to Wolf Rock and you could bypass it? I'm going to the spring. You saw that it said there's a spring 250 feet. And you could bypass it? So we haven't done the Wolf Rocks yet? I'm just wondering what exactly that means. I just can't imagine what the Wolf Rocks would be after what I just witnessed. It's literally impossible for me to fathom that you would call, that this is so pronounced, it has a name, and all of that other mess did not. Okay. Well, I'm coming down here to the spring. I see a depression in the ground, so I assume that that is the spring. And it is. Ooh, it ain't much to, ooh. That water is not good. Ew. You'd have to be a desperate soul to drink that. And I'm not. So, back up we go. Phone battery died and wasn't able to show you what I guess was Wolf Rock. But just picture in your mind the big, rock ascents and descent, kind of like the Knife's Edge or anything else. So not bad at all, actually. Just remarkably peaceful relative to the ground we had talked about and gone over prior to that. So that, boy, you talk about, we had worked ourselves into a frenzy. I sat for 45 minutes for lunch, not wanting to take on Wolf Rock. Then it turns out to be total dud. I mean, it was great, it was fun, but it's, I thought if the 4 miles prior to that didn't get a name, God knows what Wolf Rock would be. So that was a welcome surprise, and now look what it turned it into. This is like a car path. And it's beautiful. But man, that 4.5 miles from Wind Gap, just mind-numbing. Every single person who came out of it was like, oh my God. Yeah, that one's for the books. But the beauty is, the one thing about all of this is that every step you take is a step the AT can't take back. So when you're going up those miserable ascents that just seem to be water courses, and you've got your head down, you're just staring at your feet, every step, every mile, you've taken that mile. And the trail can't take that mile back. And 2190.6 later, you will have taken this trail, and nobody can take it back. So right now, you see Christopher in front of me, and we're just cruising along here, probably about 3 miles an hour, making good time. It was 9 miles from the sign where it said Wolf Rocks was a mile ahead. So based on that, I would say we're probably 1.5 miles. So we're probably 7.5 miles from Davenport Water Gap as we speak. So, okay, we're gonna kick along here. I'll let my battery charge some more, but I wanted to bring you up and at least catch you up real quick. Okay, you think we may be at Fox Gap? All we know is we punched out 13 miles in, what, about 5 hours?
7:30, 5.5. Yeah.
So, it's okay. Pretty good time. Don't smile at me. All right. We're moving on. I'll bring you back up. So, like so many of the trail towns, it is a wicked descent into them. Some people have a conspiracy theory that the ATC and trail towns collaborated to do this so that people would take zeros in the trail town. I don't know if that's the case, but they do seem to run you along ridges and then plummet you into the towns. And that's been true of every state. Every state. So, not a lot to see here, but just want to give you a sense of what a descent is when I'm not actually on a headlamp. Since so many of my times that I videoed the descents, it was just on a headlamp. So let's go on. All right, well, we're just continuing to descend here. You get a good idea, I think, watching Chris in front, how it drops off. And we will see you at the bottom.